All right. You know why I don't post videos more often? It's because I freaking hate doing this. I start taping my video, then I start rambling, then I get 9 minutes in, and then I decide to scrap the whole video because I freaking rambled and I don't like what I said. And I do that about, I don't know, 10 times, and it takes up about 2 hours of my time. It's freaking ridiculous. So I'm gonna do my best in this video. I'm hoping that this is the one that sticks, and we'll see. So, by the way, this is worse now because I am officially off my Centanafadine. I am done with the clinical trial as of yesterday. So if I seem extra rambly, it's only because I don't have the breaks that the medication gave me to slow this, I don't know, my thought process down. So forgive me if I ramble and if the video is a little long, but I wanted to, go over the effects or my thoughts of Centanafadine. I think that this is probably, out of all the videos that I will have made about Centanafadine, the updates were the updates. Those were great. This is probably the most important one. It's the one that people, when Centanafadine comes to the market and they type in, to their Google search, Centanafadine, should I take it? I'm hoping that this video comes up and it can just, give them a reference point. Now, is the experience going to be the same for everybody? No, right? Everybody has an individual experience when it comes to any kind of medication. This is just my experience, but I wanted to put it out there so that people know how it affected me, and what, in my opinion, were the pros and the cons, and that way, hopefully, it helps in some way. But yeah, yesterday was my last official day. I had my last phone call. I stopped taking the medication about 2 weeks ago. So yes, I am back to ADHD self, which isn't bad. I'll have another video about that, and I'd say that I'm going to post it in my link the video in my comments or link it right here. I'm probably not, so I'm probably going to forget to do that. But the video will be out there. It's one of the videos that I want to do. So yesterday was my last official phone call. They want to see how the drug is breaking down in my system, and if there's any after effects of it. So I had a phone call yesterday. The drug's been out of my system for 2 weeks now, probably more, 2-3 weeks, something like that. And yeah, these are my opinions of the drug. Okay, let's start with the pros. Look, honestly, the drug did exactly what it was supposed to do. It slowed me the heck down, which was great. The doctor gave me the best example or the best analogy for it. It was like a car going 100 miles per hour with no brakes, and the medication provided those brakes. Now, was that a good thing? Yeah, it was, because for a long time, or pretty much, let me say, my entire life, I had thoughts that I never dealt with, right? Things from childhood and from young adulthood and just everything from my life that I had never stopped to think about, because my brain would always focus on the present, but then just move on and move on and move on. I wasn't ever stopping to think and meditate and see how things affected me. This drug provided me that respite that I needed to be able to say, okay, hold on, let me take stock of stuff and see how I can best deal with this. During the time, I went to therapy, and that was one of the best things that I could have done. I had a ton of conversations with my wife where we were able to just go deep into stuff about our relationship and about myself and her, and it helped a lot to let me think about my thoughts. I've said that before in other videos. I had never thought about my thoughts before. I had never taken the time to really focus on what was going on within me. This gave me the time that I needed to do that. So that part of it was awesome. It did exactly what it needed to do. Number two, okay, the second positive, so number two, yeah, number two. There's been no withdrawal. Okay, I didn't quit this by being tapered off of the drug. I quit it cold turkey. Like, just stopped. It was, here's your last dose, tomorrow you have none. But even then, I didn't feel a craving or like an addiction to the drug, which was very different than Adderall. Now, keep in mind, Adderall is going to be my only point of reference because it's the only other drug I've taken. But I can tell you that with Adderall, I felt it. I mean, there was one time where I stopped taking it for about a week because I was sick, and I would sweat and have chills. I mean, it was classic withdrawal symptoms. And then when I came off of it completely, after 2 years of taking it, golly, I mean, the side effects were pretty harsh. With this drug, I haven't felt a thing coming off of it. You know, maybe a little bit of anxiety, a little twinge of like, you know, of something missing, because obviously I was taking a drug every day for a year. But it wasn't anything where it physically hurt or I sweat or anything. There was nothing. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then again, comparing it to Adderall, it had minimal effects. With Adderall, if I missed a dose, it would really jack me up for the next, you know, like a day or two later. I would lose control of my temper. I would need the drug. I mean, it was much worse. You know, my heart felt like it was going to pop out of my chest on several occasions taking Adderall. So with Centanafadine, I didn't have any of that, which was great. You know, and that kind of lends itself to the reason why they're investigating this drug and why they want to use it. It does what it has to do, which is slow you down, right? There's no withdrawal and addiction, which also means that it doesn't lend itself to abuse, right? Like Adderall, you think about people that take 100 milligrams a day because they have to, you know, study for a test. And like, you can't do that with Centanafadine. I took it one time, twice by accident, like back-to-back doses, and I felt like crap. It actually made me nauseous, and I didn't have any positive effects. There was no euphoria, there was nothing. So that's actually really good because it's a drug that you can't abuse, which lends itself to actually working the way that it should. So, you know, definitely those are the pros. What are the cons? Okay, let's talk about this. Number one, I'll go with the smallest, the most minimal one. Like, I had nausea at first, the first week, probably month, when I was taking the drug, but I think that that's common with any new drug. So I started taking it then afterwards with food, and that made it all much better, and then it went away. And after that, I was able to take it with food, without food, it didn't really matter. Okay, so nausea, yeah, that happened, not a big deal. My blood pressure, here's an interesting one. My blood pressure, it seemed to go higher when I was on the drug, okay? When I started the study, my blood pressure was textbook. I mean, like 120 over 80 every single time. And then my resting heart rate was like about 60, which is really, really good. But when I started the study and I started coming in more regularly and they would do a blood pressure check every single time, I'd be at, you know, 130 over 88, 135 over 91. It would always be higher. And I attributed it to maybe, okay, I was driving in traffic, right? Atlanta sucks for traffic, so I was stressed getting to the appointment on time. Maybe I had to pee, which is something that elevates your blood pressure. You know, all of these little things that you're like, okay, maybe it could be that. But once I got off the drug and I started going back to my appointment, started going to the appointments after I was off the drug, and they would check my blood pressure, I was back to, my last one was 117 over 81, which is awesome, right? So I think it does jack up your blood pressure a little bit. So keep that in mind. Okay, ask the doctor about it, and just keep monitoring. Okay, if you have high blood pressure issues, I don't know, maybe it's definitely something that you have to talk to the doctor about. Number 3, okay, and I think this one is going to tie into 4 and 5. It slowed me down too much. It did its job too well. And here's the thing, okay? I was on a clinical trial. I was expected to take a certain dosage. So maybe it's an issue of backing that dosage down a little bit to find that sweet spot where it helps you, but it doesn't slow you down too much, okay? I spent a good, probably the last 6 months of the trial feeling unproductive as crap. I mean, really unproductive. I've always been, I've been pretty good. I mean, not great, but pretty good about keeping a journal, right? Like I do a bullet journal, and it just helps me organize my to-dos and my tasks. I couldn't even find the desire to do that. I just didn't want to do stuff. Like 10 o'clock at night came around, and I just wanted to get in bed and go to sleep. Whereas before, I would work until, 11, 12 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning. So it really slowed me down in a way that I didn't like, but that could have been that I was just taking too much. Now that I'm off of it, like as soon as I came off of it, I immediately started feeling that drive that I used to have and that desire to get stuff done. I started doing my journal again and putting down my to-dos, and I've been knocking stuff out. So, definitely something where it might have to do with the dosage, but in my opinion, it just did too good of job of what it had to do, okay? One of the good things, and I'll kind of go back to positives for a second, is that because it slowed me down so much, or because it slowed me down, period, I've learned techniques and ways to handle the things that I need to do, right? So because I had those conversations with my wife and really talked stuff out, and conversations with my therapist, all of that has given me the tools and resources to be able to understand how to do things better now. It's been a month that I have been off the medication, and I mean, things here at home are going awesome. I've been productive at home, at work. I've been just doing great with my kids. I feel different. So that's been great. But like I said, I just feel like it slowed me down too much, and maybe that had to do with the dosage. Now, talking about slowing down too much. And again, I don't know, it was a weird time to be on this drug, and to be on a drug in general. Starting in about January, that's when I kind of really started slowing down, and I really didn't feel a desire to do much. And then comes March, right? And all this COVID crap started. March and April, I have had such bad depression and anxiety. I mean, really, really bad. And I'll make a different video about that. Again, no promises. Link the video? Probably not. But my depression and my anxiety were just awful. And it really affected me. Now, could that have been a result of everything that was going on around us? Yeah, probably. I mean, I was struggling with my job. I was home with my kids full time. I mean, I was staying home with them full time. And that was hard, okay? But did the drug affect that depression and anxiety? I think it probably did. Because if I had been ADHD, Kenny, I don't know if it would have bothered me that much. But then again, I probably wouldn't have, I just don't know. It's what it breaks down to. So again, weird time to be on the drug, but just keep that in mind. If your dosage is too high, maybe it could lead to depression and anxiety. And I think that is one of the side effects that's listed on the sheet. Okay, it got to the point where during March and April, I mean, I had suicidal thoughts, which I've had in the past. I'm not going to say that that's abnormal for me. I've had them in the past, so it's not like the first time. But at the same time, it's one of the side effects that they worry about. So just keep that in mind, okay? Again, I can't say for certain, yes, this was it. This is what caused it. But you know, it was part of what I dealt with over the last year. And then here's the last one, okay? Here's the last con. Insomnia. My insomnia, from the moment that I started the drug, and I just didn't realize it because I've always kind of had insomnia, but I always dealt with it, right? My insomnia was horrible, 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 horrible. I would spend nights, entire nights, not being able to fall asleep, falling asleep at 6:30 in the morning, and then it would go for a couple of days in a row. And that played such a huge role in my temperament and in my depression and my anxiety, to the point where it made everything worse. Now, again, I already had insomnia to a certain degree, but I could always kind of fall asleep. Now, or when I was on the drug, I mean, it was so much worse. So I think that had a lot to do with my March and April episode, because my insomnia was terrible. There was a lot of things going through my mind. It was kind of like a culmination of a lot of things during those months. And but once I got the insomnia under control, everything else kind of started feeling better as well. So, recap on the cons, okay? Nausea, not a big deal, that you can deal with that. Blood pressure, keep an eye on it. That it could, I think the drug might have an effect on blood pressure. It's one of the things that they were studying, for sure. You know, get the right dosage. Make sure that it doesn't slow you down to the point where you feel unproductive. That's how I felt, okay? I really had to push myself hard during that time. I think that if I went back on it, I'd ask for a lower dosage and hopefully find that happy medium. Maybe I won't. I have no idea. Maybe that's not the case. But I just think that in this case, it slowed me down too much. Depression and anxiety, keep an eye on that. It did affect me pretty severely. I had to take other medication in order to lift me out of that. Definitely, you know, if you're having issues with any kind of medication that give you suicidal thoughts or just that severe depression and anxiety, talk to the doctor. Change the medication. You'd be surprised what a different medication could do for you. Okay, and then insomnia. My insomnia was terrible. I got it taken care of. I do take a sleeping pill every once in a while, but I also take something called Delta 8, which has worked great for me. So I'll make another video about that. Again, link? No? Maybe. We'll see. But it's just worked really, really well for me, and it helps me fall asleep, which is what I have an issue with. Okay? So these are the pros and cons, guys. If anybody's got any questions, I mean, feel free. Again, I don't expect this video to be viewed much until the drug comes to market, and that's really when people are going to start looking at it. But I hope it helps in some way. And, you know, I got some other videos that I'll come up. I'll just gotta give a personal update. I've had so much stuff going on. Had a great comment from one of the guys that subscribed to the channel. And I want to address that comment specifically. Okay, so I'll make a video to that. But again, I hope this video helps. I hope you all continue doing well. I hope you guys are safe. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to hit me up. Just send me a comment. Or heck, if you want to talk on the phone ever, I'm open to that. You know, I'm here to help anybody and everybody that I can. So, all right, folks. Hope everybody stays safe, and I will talk to you guys later.